Previously, on our last episode of We Care a Normal Amount About Things, GJ spent way too much time complaining about the nuances on saying foreign names. Literally named every person on the Crossno volleyball team while actually not explaining the rules of volleyball, and had to record everybody's name a secondary time because she thought that she recorded it right the first time, thought she recorded it wrong when she edited it, only to realize that no, she actually did get everybody's name right the first time, even though she messed up Takada's name. And lastly, started a bit that she now has to keep up for another 2 episodes. Now, on this thrilling new episode of We Care a Normal Amount About Things, we have to wonder, will she stick the landing? Will she actually get everyone's name right this time around? And more importantly, when will she ever actually be good at podcasting so that she does not have to record multiple takes of something and actually hit the correct buttons this time around? And now, for the thrilling new episode of We Care a Normal Amount About Things. Episode 2, Losing Isn't Failure. So I think I realized that Haikyuu was going to be a special show once I noticed how they tackled losing. We spent the first episode of Haikyuu with Hinata and him losing his first ever match of volleyball, but it was still done in a very protagonisty way. We've seen it before in fiction, especially in anime. We see our plucky young protagonist take on a larger, stronger opponent, be they, an antagonist or a mentor figure, and then lose epically. Our lead picks themselves up off the ground, either literally or figuratively, and vows that the inevitable rematch won't go the same way and that they will return stronger and better than they did this time around. It's a classic for a reason. But I'm not talking about that. I am talking about how the various players that we meet throughout the series and how they deal with loss. Haikyuu does not treat winning as this foregone conclusion, or that only the strongest win every time, or that even losing is this end all be all thing. But rather, Haikyuu treats losing as an inevitable fact that we all have to face one day, a thing that we all have to learn how to wrestle with. And Haikyuu, most importantly, spends the time to sit with the audience and its characters to ask them, so what are you going to do now? So today we are going to talk about the episode that really highlights that the best for me. Extensive spoilers for season 1 episodes 14 through 16 of Haikyuu, and extensive spoilers for the last 2 episodes of season 1. So in formidable opponents, we meet Ikajiri, an old teammate of Daichi, Crossno's team captain. We also meet Michimiya, the captain of the girls' volleyball team. She reveals to Daichi that the girls' team has been kind of lackluster about practice and fears that they will be knocked out sooner than they will like. Daichi kind of scolds her and tells her that it doesn't really matter how strong or powerful your opponent is, it matters if you don't try. To quote the great Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. In the next episode, Revival, we actually finally see matches at the Inner High preliminaries, and we've realized that Daichi will be playing against his old teammate. Before the game, they talk a little bit, and this is where we finally get to see something a bit different than we've seen in past episodes. We've seen Kurosno play other teams, but we have never really seen them from the other team's perspective. And for the first time, you, or at least I did when I first watched it, you kind of don't like Kurosno. You kind of have beef with them. Furuidate understands that everybody has their story, and in everyone's eyes, they are the main character. But additionally, he understands in someone else's perspective, you're their villain. You are the big bad. You are their Thanos. You're the Doctor Doom. You are the James Bond villain with the laser monologuing, taking over the world. You're that guy to somebody. Throughout the episodes, we cut between Michimiya and Ikajiri, and honestly, they are both getting spanked by their respective opponents. We spent seeing Karasuno play other teams and build up their own skills. We really get to see them shine, but unfortunately, we see them shine as they kind of beat up on a smaller opponent. It hurts a little. I get that I'm supposed to be Team Karasuno, but he's just a little guy. He baby. We see them both give rousing speeches to their team saying that it's too late to regret the things that you didn't do. You can only address the here and now. Right now, you keep fighting until it's over. It's beautiful and it's inspirational and you feel it. But tragically, it ends with both teams losing. They put up a great fight, and it's not too surprising that they lost, but it still stings. The next time we see Michimiya, she is comforting one of her teammates who talks about how, she gave up too many points and how her receives were garbage. Michimiya is being a great captain and encouraging her before making an excuse to leave. And then she gets a ways away and then has her own private cry. You see, this is the first game of the season, but it also means that this is the only game that certain teams will play for the rest of the year. This also means that this is the last game of high school volleyball that Michimiya is gonna play. This is the end of her high school volleyball career. We then get a voiceover from Ikijiri and Michimiya talking about the things that they've done, the things that they could have done, pondering over the what ifs that plague everybody after a failure. There's a couple of thousand players having the exact thought process that they are having at that time. And in a moment that breaks my heart every time I watch it, we see those players. Oh, I'm not going to cry. Don't do it. We see these lingering shots of these players processing everything. We see them thank the audience for watching them play. We see them sobbing in their other teammates' arms. We see them just completely dejected. And then it closes out with Michimiya and Ikijiri both saying, "But at least I got to play volleyball." Oh God. Oh, I'm not going to cry. As someone who grew up watching sports media, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up with both Air Jordan and Air Bud. I don't think I've seen another series do this. This will not be the last time we see Haikyuu do this, in fact. Every team that Kurasuno beats, or every team that we see get defeated, we have a moment between those players as they process everything. The players choking out their thanks or giving their support to their team members, literally propping them up as they walk off the court. Furudate makes sure to acknowledge that this is not just a victory for Team Karasuno, but that this is someone else's pain. Someone else spent their entire summer practicing and trying to improve and trying to better themselves, only to be knocked out at this moment. It hurts, and it's very real, and it's valid. Furudate spends a lot of time honoring these players, probably more so than sports commentators and sports media does in real life. I used to watch a lot of ESPN, and it's gotten better, but the sheer amount of guys being armchair quarterbacks talking about this person is a bum or this person's lost their energy since then, it gets icky. Between these moments and the flashbacks we get of random players' backstories, it helps humanize rivals that Karasuno has and will face in the future. These are no longer faceless goons or NPCs that they have to knock out to get to our goals. These are real people who understand our struggles because sooner or later, everyone will lose. What really matters is what happens next. And in Haikyuu, losing is not a grand failure of anyone. In Haikyuu, losing is just letting the ball drop. So spoiler alert, everyone, but Kurasuno actually finishes the first season of Haikyuu with a defeat. It was a close game. It was actually a really long match. I think all 3 sets went to like the 30s. But nonetheless, it was a defeat. Hinata, this is not in the script, but I'm putting it in there. Hinata and Kageyama are outside, literally on the ground, just lost in thought, and Takada comes outside. He basically tells them everything that I'm talking about right now, that losing happens. It happens to the best of us. What do you do next? Are you just gonna sit there or are you gonna get up? And Hinata and Kageyama literally stand up, and the smile on Takada's face. He is so proud of them. Then after that, Coach Yukai takes them out to eat, telling them that, you had a really big workout today and you overstrained your muscles, you need to heal up. Eating is how you do that, so everybody eat up. They thank him for the food, and with the exception of Shukashima, everybody is crying. Everybody is literally crying into their food. Yukai stares at them and he's like, good, you need this. Heal up, boys. And you remember that Yukai used to be a volleyball player himself and that he never made it to nationals. So this isn't just some, empty gesture. This is someone who knows exactly what they are going through and what they are feeling, and encouraging them from not as, coach to player, but from volleyball player to volleyball player, from their alumni. Eat up, heal up, lick your wounds, and just rest. The next episode, we actually spend the whole episode dealing with the aftermath of this loss. We see the first and second years kind of dissociating during class and being listless, and we see the third years faced with a completely different problem. This is actually the first half of the tournament, and Karasuno finished within the first 32 teams of the prefecture, which means that they have another chance of going to nationals. But this is also the seniors' last semester before college and before their final exams, and so they're given a choice. A, become inactive members of the team so that they can focus on studying before the final exam, or B, keep playing and try to get to nationals with the rest of the team. They're all in that really precarious time between adulthood and childhood, and they have to make the decision with their future in consideration, especially since none of them really have going pro as their goal. After the principal tries to talk to them because Sugawara and Daichi both have really good test scores and have the possibility of having a successful career, buckle down and focus. He tries to talk them out of it, and despite that, all four third years make the decision to stay because at the end of the day, yeah, they lost, but they didn't fail, and they still love the sport. Sugawara literally looks at the principal and says, I don't play volleyball for the merit. I play it because I love it. Meanwhile, Hinata and Kageyama find themselves in the practice room, and after trying to pretend that they aren't in pain and that they're okay, the two of them just crash out. They start screaming and running around the practice room, screaming until they exhaust themselves. Eventually, they find their breath, and once again, they acknowledge their mistakes, acknowledge their regrets, and they stand up. Soon the rest of the team shows up and they all start practicing, even though Yukai literally told them they had the day off to heal. They all show up at the gym nearly at the same time and they start practicing. Hilariously, Yukai also shows up at the gym about a couple of minutes into their practice, so it's not just the kids who are feeling antsy. Overall, the season ends on this really hopeful note, and you feel hype about their future adventures. It ends on a we'll get them next time team, yeah, type of vibe. And it wasn't until one cold November afternoon, as I laid on my couch, sick because of my COVID booster, and healing from one of the harshest rejections I have ever gotten in my writing career, obsessively watching and rewatching Kageyama and Hinata scream their hearts out in that gym, that I realized something very important about Haikyuu. Haikyuu isn't actually about volleyball. Haikyuu is about being a creative person and loving something even when it doesn't love you back. And just when you thought you knew where GJ was going, a new challenger approaches. Will she actually finish her thoughts in this episode or find another rabbit hole to go down? Will she finish this series in a reasonable time frame? And last but not least, Will she manage to go through this whole thing without crying? Tune in for our next adventures of We Care a Normal Amount About Things.